What's up YouTube? Sales of new homes are at the lowest they've been in 20 years. So today we're going to talk about how the lack of new home inventory impacts Toronto real estate and what it means for buyers and sellers. Hey guys, welcome back to your weekly Toronto real estate market update. If this is your first time checking out the series, new episodes are out every single Monday, and we talk about the health of Toronto real estate and other factors that might be impacting the market. So if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to my channel and hit that notification bell so that way YouTube can let you know whenever a new video is out. Alright, so now let's talk about what's been happening with new home construction sales and why they're just as important as the resale market. So in the resale market, existing home inventory is always constrained by the homeowner since it will always be up to them if they want to sell. An excellent example of this is what we saw happen over the last few months. At the beginning of March, homeowners across the city and all over the country decided that it was the wrong time to sell their homes. In fact, new listings in Toronto dropped by 72% and sales were down 78%. And while most homeowners were probably okay with this because, well, they had a place to live in still, buyers on the other hand were on the sidelines wondering when can they move with limited inventory available. It was really uncertain times for buyers, which is one of the reasons why we're seeing so much more activity now in the market, because anxious buyers who were ready 3 to 6 months ago do not want to see another opportunity lost. In fact, sellers are aware of this too. Last week, just under 600 homes were listed on the market. Compare that to just 10 weeks ago when less than 200 homes were listed in a single week. And during that time, more and more listings were taken off the market since it became obvious that it was the wrong time to sell. But now we're still within that 3-to-1 list to cancel ratio, which is considered to be a normal market condition. And we're seeing the exact same trends with the condo market. More than 800 new condos hit the market last week, and that's higher than any week during the spring. And also, just like other home types, new listings compared to what canceled is also within that 3-to-1 ratio, which means that we're seeing a healthy condo market. But even with both markets balanced right now, there's always a chance that this could change yet again, because the Canadian government has done a fantastic job at controlling the pandemic outbreak, but there's still a looming question of whether or not there's going to be a second wave. So creating new housing is just another way of injecting more supply into the market without getting any of the disruptions from the resale market. There's the benefit of more job opportunities, but otherwise, if we don't see new housing construction start, the resale market skyrockets and home prices go through the roof, which is one of the reasons why you'll hear throughout the rest of the year about an impending real estate market crash. In fact, Toronto prices are still down overall when we compare the current market to earlier this year. Toronto average home prices have been climbing for the past 10 weeks by an average of 14% per week, and is now just over $1.4 million. Most of that growth in the home values came back in May, and it seems like prices might be starting to level out, which also means that we might not see home prices go back up to what they were in February when the weekly average was $1.57 million. We're also seeing the same balanced prices in the condo market with an average weekly increase of 8%. Condos last week sold for an average of $691,000, which is only 7% away from the peak we saw earlier this year. And the addition of new home inventory would be another factor to level out home prices if buyers have more options. So now we understand the importance of why we need to see more new home construction. But the problem we were faced with this year is that a lot of the construction came to a stop. According to David Wilkes, who is the CEO of Building Industry and Land Development, sales of newly built and pre-construction homes are down by 81%. Last year we saw about 4,500 newly built homes that sold in May, and this year we saw that number drop below 900 last month. And many housing projects under construction are behind by an average of 6 months, delaying the injection of new housing into the market and leaving several buyers with fewer options. And this is mainly due to supply shortages, delays in getting the proper approvals, as well as the worksite restrictions that were brought on by COVID-19. So with the lack of inventory in both the resale market and with newly built homes, it shoots up the rental market. In fact, I was speaking about this with a friend the other day. Let's call him Trevor. Trevor is in the market right now to find a new place to rent. I asked why, and Trevor told me that his landlord had several other properties but had overextended himself with too much debt. Which to me it sounds like he maybe wasn't generating a positive cash flow on his properties, or his tenants suddenly ended their leases. So this put Trevor in a very difficult situation, because every place he was checking out was renting out faster than he could see them. And that can be terrifying, because what this means is that the rental market is impacted as a result from how fast homes are selling on the resale market. And now before we get into home sales, like this video and comment below if you've ever been in a situation where you were checking out a property only to find out that there was already an offer registered. Did you keep moving along to see other properties until you were successful, or did you just put a pause on the home search? I'd love to know how many of you have gone through something like this and how that experience has impacted you. Alright, so now let's take a look at home sales. Resale home transactions have been rising at an average weekly rate of 10%, with 259 homes that sold last week. This decline compared to the previous week might be an indication that home sales have balanced out. And at 259, you can see we're getting back to levels we saw earlier this year, but we are still below sales volumes we saw last year. The same trends are actually found in the condo market. 2 weeks ago, condo sales hit a 4-month high with 361 condo transactions. Last week, we only saw 265 condos that sold, and normally I would say that this would go up to keep up with the rising trend we've been seeing, but it's unlikely that another 100 condo transactions need to be entered in the system. So I'd say that condo sales are balanced at this time, despite being below sales volumes we saw last year. However, it's important to keep in mind that around this time last year, the typical spring market that we're so used to seeing was just starting to come to an end. So you'll see in the next few episodes as we get into the second half of the year, exactly how different the 2019 and 2020 real estate markets are from each other. And many people are now considering what we're seeing with the current summer market activity to be a residual effect of what we would have normally seen in the spring market this year. Because overall, home inventory, sales, and prices are up, which makes it seem like the Toronto real estate market is on fire right now. Just a few months ago, we saw sharp declines with each of these metrics to low levels that no one could have anticipated. So coming out of that will definitely make it seem like we're in a hot market. And also, if you're enjoying this video, then you'll probably like this one too. I talk about how timing the real estate market can either be a good or bad idea, depending on the overall market condition. Because we know that the lack of new home inventory is restricting the options that home buyers have right now, which is going to have an impact on the resale market. Alright, so now here's a quick recap of what's happening with Toronto real estate. Home sales were on a rising trend over the past several weeks, but we saw last week balance out with fewer sales compared to the previous week. But it's not enough to say yet that home sales are on a decline. Home prices have not changed much overall, so this is fairly balanced. What could impact pricing is the fewer number of homes that are hitting the market, which was down about 7% compared to the previous week. And last week, condo sales were down by about 27%, which is a very big drop that will be difficult to come up from, even if more transactions are entered in MLS. But despite the drop in sales, condo prices are slightly up. And new condo listings are down overall, which was expected to happen at some point since condo listings were on a rising trend for nearly 2 months straight. And this is only the beginning of summer, which is sort of this year's version of the spring market. So there's still a lot that could happen with Toronto real estate this year. Comment down below what you think will happen for the rest of the year, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And as always, thank you for tuning in and taking the time to watch these updates. And if you'd like, you can catch up on previous episodes to see how the market has dramatically changed over the last 3 months by clicking the link up top. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.